Hi again, everybody. This is Mr. Han. And today what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at this displayer.java file, look a little more at the nuances of the IDE, some tips and tricks on how to debug our programs, as well as go into some of the nitty-gritty about some of the syntax here in this Java program. So let's take a little tour around the IDE. This window here that we're in, where we see our code show up, this is called the code window. Over here, this pane right here, this is the project window. Down here, we have the navigation window, or the navigator window, and then at the bottom here, we have our output window, or our sort of console display. Now, while we're here, I wanted to go through how to start a new project. So one of the things we can do is we can use the menus here up at the top, and we can go File, New Project. Okay. Or we can just click on this icon right here for New Project. Now, when you hover over that icon, you can see that it says Control-Shift-End. So I can go to my keyboard, use Control-Shift-End as a shortcut, and begin creating a new project. In this case, I'm going to create a Java project. It's just going to be a Java application. We could talk about different types of projects later. I'm going to give it a meaningful name. Maybe this one I will call Hello World. Okay. It creates a main class called Hello World as well, and we'll see that in a second. And I'm going to click Finish. And you'll see that it creates a package called Hello World and a public class called Hello World as well. And it also populates this with some comments. So I want to talk about the comments real quickly. In the previous tutorial, I talked a little bit about documenting code and the importance of block comments. Okay, so we get these block comments right away. If you don't like the way they look, if you find they're cluttering things up, you can take them out. Same thing here. And same thing here. We don't need all this code. Okay, so comments appear in gray in our IDE, and here's another comment here. This is a single line comment as opposed to the ones that we saw above, which were multi-line comments or block comments. Okay, single line comments happen after two forward slashes. So the two forward slashes tell the program to skip over this. This isn't code. This is just there for documentation. Okay, and you can use these on every single line of your program. So if we come back to displayer, for instance, I have the system.out.println line, you'll love Java, and then I use a single line comment to say that this just displays the string. Okay, and it takes it. So a couple things that we'll notice right away when we create this program is that we have to have a class. Okay. In this case, it's class Hello World. Because Java is an object-oriented language and objects are created from classes, every program we build has to have some type of class. The other thing that we notice here is that we have the main method. Every program that we build has to have a main method. It tells the computer where you need to start your program. So this word main has special meaning in Java. Okay, it basically says that this is where everything starts. So it tells the program this is where we're going to start automatically. Now this string args is also important, and we'll talk more about that when we get to strings and we get to arrays. But essentially what it's saying is the main method takes in a string array called args. ARGS is the name that's given to it. And again, we can talk a little bit more about what that means and why that's important later on in the course. For right now, we know that every program that we build will have a main method. It'll take in a string array called args, and that's all we need to know for now. So back to this example of the displayer file. This file, this application, what it does is it creates a public class called displayer. It goes to the main method and it executes one line of code here, system.out.println. And what system.out.println does is it uses the system class, which is a class that's built into Java, to output a single printed line that says you'll love Java. So my program's ready to go, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to run it. There's a couple options for running it. Okay, we can come up here and just hit this green button for run project. Okay, or you can hit F6 if you have F6 on your keyboard, and it'll run the code. It may take a minute, and you'll see the output here. Now it says you'll love Java on the output console. Now some other things I want to highlight here are these braces. So notice when I click on this brace here, for the class displayer, it also has a closing brace. So what this does is it defines what makes up that class displayer. As well, when I come down to the main method here and I open up the main method with this brace, notice that there's also a corresponding closing brace. This is what defines or makes up the main method inside this class. Notice also that my code is stepped down. So here I have my code for the class. Okay, within the class I have this main method, so it's stepped one more time in. Within the main method I call this method system.out.println. So for every part of the hierarchy, there's a step that's taken to show its organization. Good code should be stepped like this so that it's easy for people to follow. You can think about it kind of like the outline. When you're reading like a report or a paper, you might provide like an outline at the front of it, and you might have items that are subordinate to other items and they would be indented. It's the same case with your programming. Things that are subordinate need to be pushed in one line to make it clear that they belong to something bigger than them. And again, just while we're here, I'll highlight some of the documentation because this is important. In all your programs, you're going to need to provide documentation. So here I have a block comment. It talks about what this program does. Again, you'll find this useful as you go on throughout the year because you're going to want to go back and make reference and use old programs. And if you have a nice block comment at the front explaining what it does, it'll be quick and easy to figure out if this is what you're looking for. And right here, I also have an inline comment. I use the 2 forward slashes to provide an inline comment. And again, when things are in gray like this, that means that the system's going to read over them but not include them as part of your code. There's one more type of comment. It begins with a forward slash and 2 asterisks and ends with an asterisk and a forward slash. So these types of comments are used for the Java doc, and we could talk more about Java doc later on in the year. For right now, we just need to know that there's like a third type of comment that we can use, okay, that involves 2 asterisks, and it's very special sort of occasion of using comments. Again, not something we need to be concerned with right now. So a couple more things I wanted to point out. Every method has to have some parameters that you're passing to it, or at least the option to pass some parameters. So for system.out.println, that's a method. Okay, inside these brackets is what you're going to pass to it. In this case, I'm passing to it the statement "you'll love Java," and it sends that to the console. When we look back up here at our main method, okay, what you can see is that you have these open brackets, okay, for the main method and parameters that you're going to pass to it. In this case, we're passing it a string, an array of strings with the title arguments. In the next video, we're going to talk a little bit more about how to debug our programs, how to run them, find errors, and correct them.